someone challenges your value in a room full of people. They twist your words or throw a direct accusation your way. In that fraction of a second, your instinct is to protect yourself. You step forward and start to explain exactly what you meant. It feels like a reasonable response, but you have just triggered a process that is very difficult to stop. That immediate urge to offer context and justify your actions is a psychological trap we are all conditioned to fall into. We rush to say, "You misunderstood me," believing that a reasonable explanation will clear the air and end the conflict. The problem is that seeking perfect clarity is an emotional reflex. You want the other person to understand you so the tension will dissipate. But clarity is a tool for therapy. In any kind of social friction or professional dispute, the goal isn't to be understood. It is to maintain control. When you eagerly explain yourself, you are implicitly agreeing that the other person has the authority to question you. You place yourself on the witness stand and make them the judge. By attempting to prove your innocence, you hand the lead of the conversation directly to your attacker, and that is where your position finally collapses. This statue of Niccolò Machiavelli captures a man who understood a brutal rule. In any struggle for power, objective reality takes a back seat to perception. Machiavelli recognized that crowds do not analyze facts, they analyze behavior. If people watch you frantically defending your reputation, they do not see an innocent victim seeking justice. They see hesitation, they see fear, they smell prey. This dynamic relies entirely on what strategists call the frame. The frame is the invisible social boundary that dictates the roles in a room. It decides who demands answers and who is forced to provide them. Whoever controls the frame dictates the outcome of the interaction. By refusing to panic and refusing to explain, you keep the frame firmly in your grip. True leverage doesn't come from proving you are right. It comes from maintaining a composed, slightly unpredictable presence that makes others second-guess their own authority. The most effective countermeasure to a direct challenge is also the simplest to execute: weaponized silence. When someone throws an insult or an accusation, your strongest move is to offer absolutely nothing in return. An aggressor expects resistance. They need you to push back, to use your defensive energy to keep their own momentum going. When you offer total stillness instead, you starve them. Left in a sudden conversational void, they often feel overexposed and begin to doubt the validity of their own words. Imagine a boardroom where a rival dismisses your project, saying the strategy seems poorly thought out. The average person immediately leans forward over the table, frantically shuffles their papers, and nervously defends the data. The room senses the panic, and the project looks weak regardless of the math. The Machiavellian operator handles it differently. They lean back. They hold eye contact for 2 solid seconds in complete silence. Then, with a faint, unbothered smile, they redirect. "Let's hear your strategy then." That single maneuver shifts the physical and psychological spotlight. You haven't defended your work at all, yet the person who attacked you is now under the pressure to perform for the room. You have transformed them into the one on trial. Sometimes silence isn't enough, and you must actively invert the attack. Machiavelli referred to this principle as turning the blade. You take the kinetic energy of an aggressor and route it directly into their own collapse. This is highly effective in the public or digital sphere. When an online mob or a toxic peer accuses you of being manipulative or difficult, engaging in a long-winded debate only feeds the swarm. By replying with a short, cold truth, the attack simply crumbles against your indifference, leaving the aggressor scrambling to recover their footing. You execute this by using absolute statements of status that refuse the premise of the insult. If someone calls you arrogant, you calmly reply, "Confidence often disturbs the insecure." You don't deny their claim. You reframe their attack as a symptom of their own weakness. You let the attacker fall heavily onto their own sword, forcing them to over-explain their frustration. You establish dominance, and you do it without ever raising your voice or breaking a sweat. To master this, you have to let go of a deeply ingrained societal lie, the belief that you need to be universally liked to survive. We are taught to manage our reputations by constantly smoothing things over, ensuring everyone views us as agreeable and accommodating. But look at the unblinking gaze in this historic engraving of Machiavelli. It represents a sharp contrast to the agreeable person. It illustrates the ideal of a truly strong reputation.
People might not like a person like this, but they are terrified of casually crossing them. Here is the paradox of public conflict. The louder you defend yourself, the more isolated and guilty you appear. But when you remain perfectly stoic in the face of an unfair attack, something strange happens to the crowd observing you. They feel an instinctive urge to step in and shield you from the unearned hostility. When you stop fighting your own battles, bystanders will often take up the defense for you. This creates a form of social leverage, where the crowd effectively shields you, allowing you to remain above the noise while your accuser is the one who appears unstable. Weaponizing silence in a single argument is a useful tactic, but the ultimate evolution of this mindset is the cultivation of an aura. This is a presence so firmly anchored and self-assured that accusations lose their weight before they even land. Possessing this aura doesn't mean you are a robot devoid of emotion. It means you are strategically imperturbable. You create a mirror with your stillness, forcing insecure people to project their own anxieties and fears into the quiet space you leave behind. An open book is incredibly easy to manipulate. When everyone knows exactly what makes you tick, they know exactly how to wind you up. It is significantly safer and far more powerful to remain a confusing mystery. By permanently retiring from the exhausting game of public defense, you step entirely out of the courtroom of other people's opinions. You stop asking the world for a favorable verdict, and you start writing your own reality.